The gentleman from District 24.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good ladies and gentlemen of the body, I don't intend to talk till 6 or even 4:34.
When do we break the Senate's record? Oh.
I think we're already past that, Mr. Speaker.
Right. Good.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of the legislation, and I'd like to offer a couple of observations concerning some of the history with which I'm familiar. Many of you know these facts, but it is good to repeat them and to go over them again. How was the federal government formed in the United States? It was formed first as an Articles of Confederation by the states following the Revolution, and then after a period of approximately 10 years, those articles were found to be defective in a number of regards, and so a constitutional convention was called, and representatives of the various states at the time sent delegates to the Constitutional Convention. They were representatives of the states that were then in the Union. And one of the great debates that occurred in that constitutional period was the debate over the relative powers of the federal government and that of the individual states, which was creating the federal government. And so this tension over federalism goes back to our founding years. And they found itself in the most extreme situation in the years leading up to the Civil War, when a variety of measures, including nullifications and various measures primarily emanating from the southern states, placed strains on the federal government and on the Union. And ultimately, those strains broke apart, and 4 years of secession and war followed. And 2 years ago in this body, not on the floor, I heard a member privately use the word secession with respect to Idaho's relationship with the federal government. Okay? And I've thought a lot about that word because I never thought I would ever hear a word like that coming from a duly elected body of an American state, of a union of states, which attempts day by day to make the very best efforts it can for our national and state good. If we go down this road, not towards secession, but towards accepting what the federal government tells us is good for us, we are ceding some responsibility there. I believe that a no vote in this circumstance is a vote essentially to cede that power further. And we've had many expressions here today about how that's inappropriate, how strongly we feel about that secession of power. This will not be the only vote that we will have as legislators or our successors will have that will have to deal with the relationship of our state to the federal government. But it seems to me that to secede the power on the front end of this particular legislation to the federal government without a willing participation and a pretty well-crafted piece of legislation to involve us in that process would be a mistake. So I'd urge your yes vote on the legislation. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the House.